Did I ever tell you about the small town speed limit scam years and years ago? Actually, I was pulling a flatbed for Weyerhaeuser, so it was probably 86, 87, right in that timeline. And coming through a little town in Louisiana, and I come around the bend, and there's this cop flagging me down, and he wrote me a ticket for 50 and a 30. And I said, "Oh, speed limit's 55. I mean, why you writing me? I mean, where does it say 30?" So he says, "Well, as you enter the town, it's 30 miles an hour." I said, "Well, don't you think you should tell people?" He goes, "The sign's right there." So I turn around after he writes me my ticket and lets me go. I turn around and I go out to town, and I find another wide spot, and I turn around and I come back, and there is no sign. Oh, wait a minute. There's a sign sticking up. You can see the pole. You can see the green pole. But the sign is totally obliterated because it's got a tree branch hanging over it, covering it up. And that's why this cop had such a SEG. Do you know what that is? That's a shit eating grin. And when I made my turn and came back, he had another truck pulled over. So, yeah, they got me. They got me. I swore I was going to get in my pickup truck and drive back there with a chainsaw and cut that branch away. But, they'd have wrote me a ticket for not having a permit for cutting a branch on a public right of way. But I just had that. I just saw a joke, and the joke was, it was a meme. It was a picture. It said small towns in Texas, and then there's a 70-mile-an-hour sign, and then a 20, and then a 50, and then a 30, all within like a few feet of each other, which is funny and cliche, but that actually happened to me at a little tiny town in Louisiana. And actually, it wasn't even a town. It was at one time it was a town, but nobody lived there. Everything was boarded up. It had like 5 or 6 buildings. And this was a state cop, too. It was a Louisiana state cop on the Louisiana highway. And I just had that memory about, oh, some of the BS tickets I gotten in my life. And, you know, the kind of people that wrote them were just evil, lying, corrupt individuals that happen to have badges and the power to, take money out of your wallet. I don't think about it often, but when I do, my God, I could write a book at some of the nitwit, corrupt individuals they came across as a truck driver. I'm talking people on forklifts and people in cop cars. You just never. I'll give you another example. I was in Hartford, Connecticut at a place called Hugh Blind Liquor. Again, had to been 88, maybe 89. No, 86, maybe 87. And I was delivering a load of vodka to this Hugh Blind liquor company, and I think it was East Hartford, Connecticut, at a warehouse. And the forklift driver comes over to me and says, "It's going to cost you $50 for me to unload you." And I said, "Why is it going to cost me $50?" He said, "Well, that's what it costs here to unload. Nothing's free." So I said, "Well, all I got's 100. Hold on." So I walk over into the office where the white collar workers are. And I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to have to come back another day." And he says, "Why?" I said, "Because the guy won't unload me unless I give him $50, and all I got is $100 bill." And he was pissed. He gets on the intercom, the warehouse intercom, and he calls that forklift driver in. Well, now that forklift driver sees me in the office, and anyway, they unloaded me for nothing, and he got in all kinds of trouble. But there are truck drivers that would have gladly just paid him to get out of there and back on the road. And I encountered that so many times. I lost a job one time over, and it was Muller's Macaroni in Bayonne, New Jersey. And what they do, and this is union outfits. This is, they not. I never had this happen at at a non-union place. Only the union places that were getting paid really high dollar would try to extort money out of the drivers. Well, it turned into a fight on the dock. I told this guy, I'm not paying you. You're not getting a dime out of me. I'll just leave. I don't care if you get this load or not. I'll go back to where it came from and tell him you wouldn't unload me unless I paid you. So he gets down off the forklift, and then it turns into a fist fight, and then he pulls a knife. And anyway, I won't go through the whole story, but I threw him off the dock, and I jumped down off the dock, and he didn't have his knife in his hand anymore. And I lost my job over that, and that was on a Friday. I drove the truck back to the terminal, and they fired me. And it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, they called me back, hired me back. But I could never go back to that warehouse again, which was fine with me. And that's when I really started hating unions, because I encountered those kind of personalities, the corrupt personalities, the black hearts, the evil souls. And they were always at the union warehouses. I never, ever had any trouble at non-union warehouses. So when I bought my truck, I just never loaded or unloaded. As when somebody would give me a load, I would ask them. I said, are they union or non-union? And if they didn't know, I would say, well, hold on, give me the phone number, because I'm going to call them. If they're union, I'm not hauling there or delivering to them. So I turned a lot of loads down because I hated unions so much. And then I started just running for one company, non-union, leased to them, the best job I ever had. Everything was streamlined and perfect and non-chaotic. And General Motors was, to me, the last straw as an owner-operator. And what they would do, just-in-time shipping was a thing. It still is, but it was fairly new back then. General Motors in Shreveport, they didn't have a warehouse where they stored parts. So you would go up to Romulus, Michigan, and pick up engines. This is what my wife and I did. It was a fairly regular thing. And then we would bring these engines back to General Motors in Shreveport. And if they didn't need them right away, you were stuck with all these engines on your trailer. And it might be 7, 8, 10 hours before they got you backed into a dock and took their engines off. They were using you as their warehouse, and you didn't get a dime out of it. And that was it. That was the last straw. General Motors was the last straw for me of dealing with unions. I never, ever hauled into or out of a union shop again after that. I didn't mean to go on so long. 8 minutes. I'm sorry. There's not enough daylight left. We're home after a long day of grocery shopping. Boy. And we didn't get everything. We still got to get other stuff from Walmart. We didn't make it to Walmart. It's just... And, my God, dog food, cat food, Jesus, has it gone up. Okay, I'm home, but there's not enough day left to do anything. Tomorrow is going to be an all-day shop day and not knife shop. Oh, let me show you what I got. Oh, hold on. Hold on. It's here, it's here, it's here. This is my wheel bearing puller. I called, Harley. It was going to cost me about $260 or $70 for Harley to pull the wheel bearings out of that rim that I have, that I'm going to have powder coated, and then put wheel bearings back in. I called the independent shop, and it was going to cost $120 to pull the wheel bearings out and put them back in. And then I got to buy new wheel bearings. This was $45. I can pull the wheel bearings out, put them back in. I can do it on my wife's bike. I can do it on a rear tire if it ever needs it. If David ever has bearings go bad, we can pull them out. So at this stage in my life, with, the medical problems I've had and likely medical problems I'll be having, it's really hard to justify more tools, because my wife, if I do die, she's going to have to get rid of all this stuff. So I'm trying not to accumulate, but this just makes dollar and cents. It just makes sense. For 45 bucks, I can pull the bearings out and put them back in for $45. So now all I got to do is pay for the powder coating, which I found out is 65 bucks, and pay for the bearings. They're special bearings, they're ABS bearings, so, you know, they're a little more costly. Okay, that's it for me today, y'all. And that cat down there that hates me, I spent $43 on her food. I hope she's happy. She doesn't hate me. She just doesn't want me to touch her. I'm not stupid. She doesn't really hate me. And I know she recognized me even from when she lays on the roof out there. That's why I call her roof cat or shop cat. I call her roof cat because she suns herself on the roof of my shop. And, you know, I can call her, I know what I call her, kitty, kitty, kitty. That's what I call her. And she knows her name and she knows it's me. So, you know, we have a bit of a, no, I wouldn't say a bond, but an understanding. She recognizes me. She knows I'm the guy that gives her food. And, yeah, that's good enough for me. And I promised the people when I bought this place that I would feed that cat until one of us dies. And I am, so far, able to keep up my end of the bargain. Already, 11 and a half minutes of blabbing. So, have a good Thursday, y'all. It's probably going to rain here, and I'll be in the garage most of the day. And I think I'm going to do the bearings first. If I get any time during the day, I'm going to run that rim over to the powder coaters. And then I got 2 bearing mandrels and blades I got to replace on Bev's mower. And then I got to get the Hustler, our ZTR, up off the ground and do some investigating to find out what on earth is vibrating and rattling. I have looked and looked. I've replaced both bearing mandrels thinking the bearings were going bad. I just replaced them because now I'm throwing parts at it, you know, I just cannot put my finger on what is making so much rattling noise, metallic rattling noise. So everything on the deck is good. So now I got to look at the back end and look up under it and make sure, first, that the motor is bolted down tight, and 2, that there's nothing wrong with the PTO, because it only happens when you engage a PTO. So, you know, that's a clue there. But if I find anything, I'll let you know, because somebody else might run into the same problem. Have a good Thursday. Okay, I did come down here and do a little work. I came down here to park the truck and put my cat food up, and then this called me. So I am sanded up to 120 all the way up to here. Now, I could, but I'm not going to sand out the deeper pockmarks. I just don't want to take that much steel off. So I am about probably 30 minutes from being this side only done up to 120, which is the hardest grit to go from the belt grinder, which is 60 grit, to this, which is 120 grit. That's a huge jump. In the lower grits, that's a big jump. If I had 80 or 100 grit, I would have used that, but this is the only time I've ever had the necessity, the need for even the 120 grit. I don't use it very often. I usually start with 150 because I come off my belt at 120. See, 120 to 150 is the normal jump you would take, but 60 to 120 is taking me forever to sand these 60 grit lines out. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's what it looked like. So tomorrow, very first thing I'm going to do, first thing at the crack of dawn, is pull the bearings out of that rim. I'll show you how I do it. I've already got the rotors off, and when I get it powder coated, I will install new bearings, and I will take the rotors off my original wheel and put them on this wheel because they're ABS rotors. And then I will have to have the tire taken off and put on the new powder coated tire, and then come back and put everything, you know, the axle, and put everything back together, and use my knuckle torque wrench. I'm kidding. I have a torque wrench, by the way. I bought a torque wrench. It's been a while. I just haven't used it since I bought it. Okay, so that's it. And I'm going home. Been a long day of rat killing. Have a good Thursday, y'all. Sure, I'll spend $43 on a cat that hates me. This is my buggy pushing fee. $1. I'm not allowed on that aisle. Ah, yep. Life is good.
What should we go on? She did the head thing.